Have you ever wondered if the happiest person you know might be the most depressed? It's a haunting question, isn't it? Welcome, dear listeners, to our journey of understanding the enigma that is depression. Contrary to popular belief, depression is not a condition exclusive to those who constantly wear a sorrowful expression or those who prefer solitude. Depression, my friends, is an invisible beast. It hides, lurks, and often wears a mask. A mask of happiness, laughter, and seemingly perfect lives. Imagine the class clown, the life of the party, the one who always has a joke up their sleeve. They make everyone laugh, their energy is infectious, and their spirit seemingly indomitable. But when the laughter subsides, and the crowd disperses, it's just them and their thoughts. The mask comes off, the facade fades, and the beast of depression may reveal itself. Depression is a skilled chameleon. It blends perfectly with smiles, joviality, and even the loudest laughter. It's a silent predator, creeping up on its prey when least expected. It's the wolf in sheep's clothing, the cloud in a clear sky, the thorn on a rose. It's the silent scream in a room full of voices, the invisible weight on the lightest of hearts. Now, picture the most successful person you know. They're at the top of their game. They've achieved so much, and yet they could be fighting a battle you know nothing about. Depression doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your social status, your wealth, your achievements, or your outward appearance. It's a battle fought in the mind, a war waged against oneself. It's the feeling of being lost at sea with no land in sight. It's the feeling of sinking while everyone else seems to be swimming. It's the silent cry for help, often drowned in the noise of everyday life. Depression is a complex puzzle, a labyrinth with no clear exit. It's an enigma, often misunderstood and frequently misjudged. But remember, it's often the happiest faces that hide the deepest sorrows. Depression doesn't always look like what we expect. So, how can you tell if someone is battling this invisible enemy? The truth is, it's not always easy. Depression can be a silent adversary, often hiding behind a mask of normality. But there are signs, subtle indicators that something is awry. The key is to be observant and compassionate, ready to understand and support. Firstly, one of the most common signs of depression is a persistent feeling of sadness or emptiness. This isn't just a case of the blues or a bad day. It's a deep, relentless sorrow that doesn't seem to go away. It's like a shadow that lingers even on the sunniest of days. Secondly, look out for a loss of interest or pleasure in activities once enjoyed. This could be anything from hobbies and social events to simple everyday tasks. If you notice that someone suddenly seems detached or disinterested, it might be more than just boredom or fatigue. Changes in appetite or sleep patterns can also be indicative of depression. Some people may experience significant weight loss or gain, or fluctuate between periods of insomnia and excessive sleep. These physical symptoms often mirror the mental and emotional turmoil within. Depression can also manifest as restlessness or irritability. Simple tasks can become overwhelming, leading to frustration and a short fuse. This can be confusing for those around, as it seems out of character or unprovoked. Lastly, difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions is another common symptom. This isn't about forgetfulness or indecision. It's a foggy mind struggling to focus, to make sense of thoughts, or to take action. Remember, these symptoms are not definitive proof of depression. They are common indicators that something might be wrong. If you notice these signs in someone, it's not about diagnosing them, but about reaching out, showing empathy, and encouraging them to seek professional help. These symptoms might be subtle, but they're critical signs that shouldn't be overlooked. Depression can be an invisible enemy, but with awareness and understanding, we can help those who are silently struggling. Let's start the conversation and break the stigma around mental health. Depression is more than just feeling down. It's like carrying a heavy, unseen chain. Imagine wearing a weighted vest 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not just a physical weight, though. It's an emotional weight that seeps into every crevice of your life, tainting your interactions, your motivation, and your sense of self. Depression is like this invisible weight, always there, always pulling you down. It's not something you can simply shrug off or decide to leave behind. It's a part of you, a part that feels as if it's dragging you deeper into a well of despair with each passing day. The physical burden of depression can manifest in many ways. It can lead to chronic fatigue, aches and pains, and even disturbances in sleep and appetite. It's a vicious cycle, as these physical symptoms often exacerbate the emotional distress, leading to an even heavier chain of despair. But depression doesn't just weigh on the individual. It's a chain that can stretch out and affect relationships too. It can strain friendships, create rifts in families, and cause friction in workplaces. It's a chain that can bind and restrict not just the person experiencing depression, but those around them as well. And yet, despite its weight, depression often goes unnoticed. It's an unseen chain, one that society often overlooks or misunderstands. This invisibility can make the weight of depression even heavier, as individuals may feel isolated, misunderstood, and alone in their struggle. But it's crucial to remember that this weight, this unseen chain, is not a life sentence. It's a condition, a challenge, but one that can be managed and overcome. With understanding, empathy, and professional help, the weight of depression can be lightened. Depression is a heavy burden, but one that can be lightened with understanding and support. Speaking up about depression is not a sign of weakness, it's a step towards healing. Depression is a battle fought in silence. It's a war waged in the solitude of the mind, where the enemy is invisible and the wounds are hidden, but silence is not the answer. It's not a solution, nor a cure. It's a barrier, a wall that keeps us from reaching out, from seeking help, from breaking free. Seeking help when you're experiencing symptoms of depression is not just important, it's crucial. It's the first step towards healing, towards reclaiming your life from the clutches of this invisible enemy. It's the beam of light that pierces the darkness, the lifeline thrown to someone drowning in a sea of despair. But it's more than just seeking help. It's about open communication, about breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. It's about creating an environment where talking about mental health is not a taboo, but a norm. It's about understanding that it's okay to not be okay, that it's okay to ask for help. Depression is not a sign of weakness. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's a medical condition, just like any physical ailment. And just like any physical ailment, it needs treatment, it needs care, it needs understanding. And most importantly, it needs to be talked about. We need to break the silence surrounding depression. We need to shatter the stigma, tear down the walls of misunderstanding, and create a society where mental health is given the same importance as physical health, where people are not judged for their mental health issues, but are supported and encouraged to seek help. Depression is a battle that can't be fought alone. It's a journey that needs companionship, empathy, and understanding. It's a road that can be treacherous and full of obstacles, but with the right support, it can be traversed. Remember, reaching out is the first step to recovery. Depression is an invisible enemy, but it's one we can all learn to recognize. As we journey through this dialogue, we've unveiled the mask of happiness, recognized this unseen adversary, felt the weight of its unseen chains, and broken silence to address it. Let's retrace our steps and reflect on what we've learned, shall we? We started by peeling back the layers of the happy facade, revealing that depression often hides behind the most radiant smiles. It's a stark reminder that it's not always what we see that defines a person's mental state. We then delved into the realm of the unseen. Depression, this ghost of an enemy, often goes unrecognized due to its intangible nature. But we've learned to spot the signs, haven't we? Persistent sadness, loss of interest, drastic changes in appetite, and sleep disturbances are some of the common symptoms. Next, we tackled the heavy chains that depression can cast. It's not just a mood swing, but a crippling burden that weighs heavy on the hearts of those affected. The chains might be invisible, but they are very real to those wearing them. And finally, we spoke about breaking the silence. It's crucial to understand that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness, but a step towards recovery. We emphasized the importance of open conversations, professional help, and a supportive environment in battling depression. In conclusion, depression is a complex, multifaceted issue that demands our attention. It's not just about feeling sad, it's a serious mental health issue that affects millions of individuals worldwide. Remember, depression doesn't discriminate. It can touch anyone regardless of age, gender, or social status. But we're not powerless against it. Armed with knowledge and understanding, we can all play a part in the fight against depression. Depression can touch anyone, but with knowledge and understanding, we can all play a part in the fight against it.